If everybody's situation was the same, my job would be very boring and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And that's why I love helping people, is because everybody's situation, again, is unique, and getting to help them and seeing them succeed is the most gratifying thing to myself.
Hello, this is Mark Silverman, managing member and founder of Silverman & Associates, and I'm also a certified financial planner professional. I want to welcome you to the Saving with Silverman podcast. I'm glad you're here. Each week, we'll discuss different financial planning topics because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
You're listening to Saving with Silverman with Mark Silverman, your certified financial planner professional at Silverman & Associates in Tucson. Glad you decided to listen today, because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life. And you've certainly made the first step in that whole process, but the next step should be making a phone call. If you'd like to get in touch with Mark Silverman's office, 520-333-7601. Call or text to that number, leave your name and your phone number. You'll get a call back, and you can arrange to have a 20-minute introductory call, completely complimentary. There's no obligation. You can have a discussion on the phone for 20 minutes with Mark Silverman. That's a good way to get started. Then you can decide if you'd like to come in and meet face-to-face. But first, get that introductory phone call. Mark, emotional decision-making is something that you see happen a lot. I know that you see a lot of people during very terrible times in their lives, and they come in, and some people even, cry in your office and that sort of thing. And I know that's a tough part of your job, being a financial planner professional, but it's certainly necessary, and it's important not to make really important decisions when it comes to money when you're in some kind of an emotional state. Most people like to think that they always make decisions based on logic and facts, but the truth is that emotions usually play a big role for all of us in that decision-making process. What types of emotion do you find are likely to drive financial decisions?
Well, we're emotional creatures. As much as we want to make sure that all our decisions are based on logic, emotion plays a big part of it. And understanding where those emotions are coming from is part of what I do, as far as listening to what people are telling me, so I can really determine what is important to them, so we can put a plan together that's going to work for them. So most people, have a sense of fear if they're going to be retiring soon. They're scared if that they're going to be walking away from their job that they've had for most of their lives and walking to the next phase. Some people have just lost a spouse, and so we need to be there and help them make the right decision there. And these decisions shouldn't be rushed. If you're meeting with someone, they shouldn't be rushing you to make these decisions, and these decisions should make sense. If somebody's telling you need to make a decision right this second, and you don't feel confident with that decision or making that decision right then and there, that's probably not a good thing. So, you should have all the evidence and everything, all the facts, if you will, before you make that decision, and making sure that you're not making it on emotion, but you're making it on logic. But sometimes you need somebody to hold your hand and walk you through that process. And that's exactly what we do.
Mark, I know you've been doing this, helping people for a very long time, and you've seen just about every kind of scenario. What are some of the mistakes that you've seen people make because of that emotional decision-making thing?
Nobody likes to lose money, but, the markets do go up and the markets do go down. So we don't try to time the market. It's impossible, as we all know. But, I've seen people who have gotten out of the market when it drops. They can't take it anymore. And maybe that's because either they themselves or whoever was their advisor at the time put them into too aggressive investments and weren't managing it properly. But if you get that up front, where we truly understand what your risk tolerance is, as well as your goals, and get you on track and making sure we can focus on those, we don't worry about the day-to-day stuff, and we think more long-term to try to understand that we'll get through this. And if we just stay the course, things are going to work out just fine. It's when you try to make a swift decision based on what you might be feeling at that moment, that's when you tend to hurt yourself and do harm to your portfolio and do harm to your financial well-being.
We're talking about emotional decision-making, and we all are guilty to a certain degree about that. Even though we may think that we make all our decisions based on logic and facts, it's important to take your time when you're in some kind of an emotional state and don't rush things, as Mark just mentioned a moment ago. Are there times, Mark, when it's appropriate to factor in emotions into your financial decisions?
Well, you have to understand the emotion. So what we do is, through our True Wealth Financial life planning process, what we do is really try to understand. If we have a couple come in and they could both, even if they've been married a long time, they probably have different feelings about money. maybe one of them grew up with money, maybe one of them didn't grow up with money. So their attitude towards money is going to be different. So we need to understand that, because if we do understand that, we can help them get to the right decision by understanding how they're perceiving things. So it's truly really digging deep with our clients and understanding what's important to them and what drives them, so we can build answers and show them things that can get them where they need to be in a way that makes sense to them. And everybody's different. Some people just want to be told this is what I need to do, and they do it. That doesn't work for everybody. Some people need to be encouraged and need to see, why do I do this or why do I not do this? What's the benefit of doing this versus not doing this and stuff. And we're happy to have those conversations. We can show you all the facts, and we've been doing this long enough to where we're prepared enough to show you what it is that we do and why we do it. So again, everybody needs to be treated. It's a relationship. So everybody's situation is different. And I can tell you the reason why I'm still doing this is because everybody's situation is different. If everybody's situation was the same, my job would be very boring and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And that's why I love helping people, is because everybody's situation, again, is unique, and getting to help them and seeing them succeed is the most gratifying thing to myself.
You're listening to Saving with Silverman with Mark Silverman, the founder and the managing member of Silverman and Associates. And Mark, I know you well enough to know that you really do enjoy helping people. And you get up in the morning, you can look in the mirror and know that you're going to go in and help somebody, make their life better that day. It all happens at Silverman and Associates. And here in this discussion on emotional decision making, give us an example of a time when you've helped someone construct a solid plan that worked for them mathematically, but also was able to meet their emotional needs.
Well, I'd say somebody that's been scared. Certainly the last downturn we had, which was 11 years ago, from 07 to 09, meeting with people that several years later still hadn't gotten back into the market. They got out, took a loss. Some people said they lost 40 to 50% of their money, and maybe they moved to cash or CDs, which obviously hasn't kept up with inflation, et cetera, and showing them that they still have a long life expectancy, and then running the numbers that if they continue doing what they're doing, they're at big risk of running out of money and not having enough money to do what they and their families want to do. And so they need to take some exposure. And so maybe it's slowly getting into the market by taking some of their money, a small portion, and putting some of it into a well-diversified portfolio of stocks, and then also the rest of it maybe into bonds, to show them with just a couple point difference in rate of return over time, that significant impact that can do to keep their money still there, so their purchasing power is still going to be strong, so they can make it through their retirement without the fear of running out of money. So we've helped people get back into the market after they'd been burned by, some people blame it on an advisor, some people blame it on themselves, whoever it might be. You are where you are. So it's not what you can do and focus on what's happened in the past. It's moving forward and what we can do now to get you back on track.
Emotional decision-making. It's certainly a topic of a long conversation here, and we could talk more about that. But right now, for the folks out there who may be going through some kind of an emotional situation, or certainly will in the future, might like to have that introductory phone call with you, Mark. And what kind of things do you address when you get someone on the phone and talk to them for 20 minutes? And then what do you talk about when they actually come into your office and pursue it further?
Sure. So, during the initial phone call, we have questions that we're going to ask of you, general information and that sort of thing, to see if what we offer is going to be a good fit for you. But we're certainly happy to answer any questions you may have. We may not have all the answers. If you get specific and you want to know, are you going to be okay to retire? If we haven't done our work yet, we don't have all the facts, we can't give you those sorts of answers. Any question that you have is a fair question, and we'll do our best to answer it. So it's really getting to know each other, going through our philosophy, how we work with clients. And if all that makes sense, like Ron said, we will schedule for what we call Get Acquainted meeting, which is done here in the office, which will get in deeper as far as our process, what's involved, how that works, how we are compensated, and that sort of thing, and what's involved in the whole process. And because there's not just a time commitment, but there's also a commitment to making sure that you're going to be engaged in that process, because we ask lots of questions and we really try to get to know our clients. And the better we know our clients, the better the solutions we come up with for you.
You've been listening to the Saving with Silverman podcast. If you have any questions at all about your financial situation, please give Mark Silverman a call. Again, his number is 520-333-7601, or go online to savingwithsilverman.com. For Mark Silverman, I'm Ron Stutz. We'll see you next time on the Saving with Silverman podcast.
The Saving with Silverman podcast is brought to you by Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, based in Tucson, Arizona. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show on your favorite app today and never miss an episode. Just search for Saving with Silverman to find us, or visit savingwithsilverman.com to listen to past episodes, to contact Mark, and to learn more about how to make smarter decisions with your money.
Did you know that Mark Silverman also has a radio show? Tune in to Saving with Silverman Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. on AM 790 KNST.
All matters discussed on this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC makes no representation as to its accuracy or completeness. The show shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or investment advisory services to residents of any state other than Arizona or where otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your individual advisor prior to implementation. Fee-based financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Arizona. Insurance products and services are offered through Silverman & Associates, an affiliated company.